It's the most incredible feeling to be here. This is live.
Live.
Wild Earth takes you on daily intimate experiences in nature live.
This is a very, very different adventure, charged with emotion.
Join expert guides as they search for Africa's most iconic animals.
How awesome is this? She's coming right past our vehicle. Take a closer look here.
Oh, careful. Oh, no.
Ask your host questions and have them answered in real time. Join us live every day on Wild Earth. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome to you in the Masai Mara of Kenya. We have Baby Jasiri, who is nursing. What a beautiful. My name is Tim. Welcome aboard to your very own safari live from the African wilderness. Jambo, and a very warm welcome to you this afternoon. We have Baby Jasiri, who is nursing there. My name is Tim, and behind camera we have Big James. Baby Jasiri and her mom haven't left that spot since this morning. We saw a very nice activity where mom was trying to at least Baby Bahati rather, not Baby Jasiri. I don't know where I picked Jasiri. So this lioness has not left this area. The other lion has moved over across to the road. So we have a very warm temperature, about 27 degrees Celsius and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Remember, for your question and comments, hashtag Wild Earth. For young viewers, kids question at wildearth.tv. On the YouTube comment section at FC. So this has been the spot we left her this morning, and they have not left this area. Like I told you before, mom has to wait until that male lion has walked off so that he can at least take her to a very safe spot. He's going to hug mom there. The den where she must take this cub must be only her secret. And if that male follows, then that is not good, because he might sneak in and maybe kill that cub. So mom has been very protective of her. And I'm sure is going to spend the rest of the day here until the rest of the pride comes. Good thing mom looks healthy, looks fit. At least she has enough milk to feed this little cub. So I'm going to stick around here, see if they might walk out and maybe take her to another new den as I take you over to another live location.
Good afternoon and welcome to Tswalu Kalahari. We have an ostrich, common ostrich that is, and that is a male that you're looking at. My name is OBAKENG, and behind the camera here we've got Dave. The weather today we're looking at a weather of about 35 degrees with a little bit of an overcast coming through. Back to the ostrich there. Can see that is a male. Obviously the coloration there giving it away that it is a male. Males tend to be very, very dark, being black with the tip of the wings being white, whereas the females would be more gray in coloration, and that's one of the easiest way to actually sex these birds, standing at about 2 meters in length and are flightless, and you're looking at a body weight of roughly, I would say, 65, pushing it to about 70 kilograms, an animal. But a very interesting way in their breeding, and this is where the color comes into play, where you find actually the males, like he is now, would tend to actually help with incubating, and they would tend to incubate more at night, obviously with the black giving them the more of the advantage, and with the females being gray, incubating a little bit during the day, also giving the eggs a chance not to actually overheat, and hence they would do that. You would also see, if we look a little bit closer to that female, every now and then she actually opens her mouth, but now her mouth is a little bit closed for now, and that's just to actually thermoregulate and keep herself cool in this heat. We'll be sticking around a little bit and see what she does. If she does nothing further, we'll move on and try find something else for you guys there at home, and over to the next beautiful property in Africa.
Well, jumbo everyone, and a lovely afternoon. Welcome to this part of the world, the beautiful Masai Mara, and here I have one very beautiful and old lady, the elephant. Looking at her, I just admire and think what she has gone through. Must be a lot of things. Jumbo there, my name is Isaac, and on camera I have Bungei. Our mission was to go to the river, and that's where we're going to go. But we started out with this beautiful elephant, and so we're gonna tell you a little bit about her and her young calf. They seem to be the only ones here. Reasons unknown to me, but definitely they are part of a larger herd. She is very confident, being by herself. And that's why I think she decided to be all by herself. That young one, I would say it's about 3 months old, and very, very busy eating that soft grass. I don't know if it's cold or not, but things are gonna get interesting, because to the right of that elephant, there is a huge crocodile. You see him over there? I don't know if the elephant will sniff him. I don't know. And behind there, we have one of my favorite birds, the lily trotter. So it's a very beautiful, interaction going on here. See how the elephant feeds on that reed, sage grass, pulls it, and then it bites off the lower part that's full of, mud and dirt. I think the elephant is going to pass. I don't think he's going to notice the crocodile, because they don't have very good, good eyesight, so she might miss the crocodile. But let's see. Looking at her temples, her shoulder blade, her ears, her skin, she is very old. I would give her a good late 50s. And another reason, she's here at the marsh where everything is soft to eat and so it's easier for her teeth. See how he chomps off the last bit that drops off? Yeah, so those teeth are still very functional. She pulls and then, cuts the end. Okay, I'm hoping that that little elephant doesn't come behind mom, because that crocodile will take advantage and grab her, trunk. Look at how she cuts the last bit of, grass. Let's see. And then it drops. Yeah, she gets rid of that unedible stuff. Maybe she doesn't like the taste of the mud, and so she cuts it off. She's still cutting it, but it will drop eventually. Taking too long this time. Yes, the African elephant lives for up to around 70 years. Bernie Jumbo, would a female elephant live to have her calf? No. They're usually very close, very, very close, not very far, and it happens very quickly. And usually there is a very big celebration of, trumpeting and calling, and there's lots of rumbling. Usually tension rises, and attention to the little one is, very prevalent, and it's a very dangerous spot to be in as a human with a vehicle. They will attack anything that is foreign. So it's a very tense moment and a very beautiful moment, for when they give birth. I've witnessed one, and it was amazing. Yeah, her tusks, her skin size, the wrinkles tells me she's aged her late 50s. She's done really well. This is a good spot for her to be, to feed on those reeds. You can see how she's putting the trunk in the water, testing, making sure it's not deep, so that, the little one, it doesn't, disappear or drown. Let's see if the little one is going to swim there. Yeah, it might be deep, but they are very good swimmers, and I don't think it's going to be an issue. Yeah, that crocodile better think twice, because, that mommy won't hesitate to attack it. The little guy is taking a drink. And that's a very fast drink. And look at that. Yeah, this little guy, I would give him maybe 3 months. And he looks very confident in life. Well, I'm going to take you to the next location, and I'm going to stay here for a little bit longer.
Oh my God. Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to and beyond Ngala. And I say that because the temperature is soaring at about 37 degrees Celsius. And I decided to come to a watering hole to have a look at what was happening here in the heat of the day. And down came a huge herd of elephants. There are at least 30 of them. And they kind of went in at the end, had a little mud wallow, particularly the little ones. Look at them storming through there, kicking and splashing. But good afternoon. My name is Dan, and on the camera we've got Odie this afternoon. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to come to this watering hole to see what had happened. And as hoped, I was really hoping to see a large herd of elephants coming down or something else. And that's exactly what they did. They've come down to bath, splash themselves, cool down, and more importantly, have a drink. You can even see the hippos in the watering hole there as well, not too fussed. Be interesting to see. Have a look at the little ones. They'll roll around. Maybe a few of the bulls might even have a swim. But a much needed drink and a cool down on an incredibly hot day like today. It's amazing how they've started on the one side, moved all the way around. Hippos, just talking a little bit. It's quite interesting. They haven't spent much time here, these elephants. It's almost like they're on a bit of a mission to get around. See the one in the front, or at least the one second in the front. She looks like maybe the biggest and the oldest, and she's the one that's kind of calling the shots. She's saying, this is where we need a drink, this is where we need to have a bath, this is where you can splash yourself, this is where you can have a swim, and the little ones and everybody else will follow. She's the one that's got all the knowledge, many, many, many generations of knowledge that you'll be passing down. Have a look, are they going to completely go and have a swim? See how deep they wade? They're not worried about crocodiles and hippos. The hippos will make space if the elephants keep getting closer to them. See how they get their legs wet? I'm a little bit jealous. It's quite hot. I'd like to go for a little swim, but I'm not as brave as them. Oh, going right in there. Covering themselves, having a lovely wallow and bath. That must feel so nice. Oh, head down, completely under, not even a trunk above. Look at the little ones. I love how they put their little trunks up like a snorkel. What an amazing scene. Super glad it worked out. I thought we were going to come here, have a look at some hippos. I was very optimistic in seeing some elephants. And as we looked on the far bank, this huge herd. Look at them, they're crossing completely. Isn't this amazing? It's like a herd of 30 has completely disappeared. You can't even see any of the little babies. You'll see mom and the older aunts will protect the little ones. They'll try and put them in the middle and keep them afloat, particularly if they start to sink. I mean, the bigger ones will be able to stand even in the middle there. But look at them playing. Isn't it amazing? And you can see there's a little, or one hippo that's just watching it unfold. Playing and playing and playing. I wonder if there aren't a few little babies in the middle of that play ball. You hear those grumblings, lots of communication. You see how they picked the deepest part in the watering hole as well, so that they could completely submerge themselves, even the bigger ones. Completely wet their ears, their backs, their legs. Interesting to see if they finish having a drink and if they continue straight away. Look at the little babies. It can be often a little bit of a stressful time for those little babies, particularly in the deep parts. In the shallows, they're very comfortable. They love to play around in the mud. Now they're gonna, looks like they're gonna stand around. A few of them are gonna carry on drinking. And it's amazing. The one oldest female will make the call. She's decided to walk that way, and she's gonna keep going. What an amazing scene though to start off this afternoon. I really hope the rest of Drive lives up to this. I'm going to send you to another live location shortly. I might even spend a little bit of time following this herd, though.
Good afternoon, everybody. Well, welcome to Djuma Game Reserve. Welcome to your live safari from African wilderness. Beautiful day today. It's quite a little bit warmer. And my name's Andrew on camera. This afternoon, that's Theo. So his thumbs already. So we begin a drive right in this spot where we find a very beautiful bird sitting on its nest. We're just going to go back to it so that we got a visual again. There it is. As you can see, bright red eye and very dark head as well. So we're looking at black-headed oriole sitting on its nest, where most of the birds, they well clever enough when they build a nest. Usually they build a nest where it's sometimes end of the branches, but with a lot of branches on top, so there's more covered for any predators. but sometimes comes vulnerable for them, for their eggs or for their chicks as well as a lot of predators as the snakes. Can be a bird of prey, hawks around here. But, you know, it's there, so nothing can happen unless if it's get flushing off so that bird of prey can get in or snake can get in there. For its own safety, it's going to have to fly off anyway if the danger appear there. And then it's just going to give alarm call and watch what happened on any eggs. I believe it should be any eggs right there this time. And then you more find similar birds like this as Eurasian golden oriole or African golden oriole, but that doesn't have a black head at all, so they won't confuse you. And they do quite a beautiful call sometimes when you kind of a communication where males advertise the territory by giving a call, but very loud call. And usually during a hot day they do that, but they're very skittish bird. And I'm so surprised. It's just because this one is sitting on its nest. You will never frame them very well. So my aim this afternoon is to check the eastern boundary, see if I can find any cats for you. As I do that, I will be taking you to another safari live Wales.
Welcome back, well, should I say good afternoon from my vehicle, coming to you live from down the river on Djuma, where we've got Mrs. Wig sitting on her nest. And, well, at least Ngala's managed to find some swimming elephants this afternoon. That's something I was hoping to find. So we're going to do a bit of a water point survey and see if we can maybe find ourselves some elephants swimming, because it is one of the most marvelous things to see. Hello, everybody. My name is Steve, joined by Morgan on camera, and as always, excited to have you with us. And a wonderful day out. It is warm, so we're going to stick to the shade for a little bit, and we're going to check the water points. Now, Mr. Wig was here a moment ago. He just flew over to the other side. I'm not sure where we've gotten to, but it looked like she'd had about 4 cups of espresso as soon as he flew away. But she's now gone back to being very comfortable and sleepy. So I think it's worked out to be close to about 3 weeks now, plus minus, that she's been sitting on her eggs. And the average incubation on the eggs is about 30-odd days, give or take a few days either side. So we're very excited to witness it. I don't know if I'll be here another week's time. I'll be gone. But James will be here, and no doubt he will be very interested to see what goes on with the new owlets. Baby owls, little new Sebwig generation. So from one nest of an oriole to a ground nest of a much larger bird, a bird that would probably snack on an oriole quite delightfully. So everybody, just to put a lot of your minds at ease, no one will be going anywhere near the site of Shadulu and her cubs from this morning. That area immediately after that interaction was called a negative lock to everybody who was around and anyone who was interested. What that means, a negative lock, means it's zoned. No one will go there. No one will interfere. No one will spend any time in the area. Allow nature to just do its thing. And if you missed it this morning, it was very, very traumatic. Tristan found Shadulu, or one of the vehicles in the west found Shadulu. I'm not 100% sure. And the day before, there were 2 female leopards hanging around where Shadulu was denning. And then last night, Tingana was around the same area. So as
Well, here I am still in the same spot. I haven't moved much, and you cannot believe, but there is too much, to bite around this area for me. I have the Egyptian geese way behind there, and its little ducklings, and then I have that massive Nile crocodile. Gives me an idea why they are so dangerous, and also why they are very stealthy hunters. Where we are, the river is almost 1 kilometer away, but it has followed a tributary and it has ended up here, which is a good spot for hunting catfish, mudfish, even small antelopes when they come to drink. See that channel there? That's where it followed, and there is the other one somewhere around there. So there are actually quite a good number of them. There is the other one. See how well it is disguised? The only thing we see is the eyes and the upper side of the head. That is a massive crocodile. That's where the elephant just passed by. This is the Nile crocodile. As I call them, the submarines of the Mara, and they are super predators. They can stay underwater for up to 1 hour, and it's only predator that still considers man as a source of food, and not only that, anything else coming close to them is food. They haven't evolved much in over 60 million years, in such that, they don't need to eat very much. They can thermoregulate, their body temperatures by, submerging themselves half into the water and half into, the other one outside the water, thus regulating the body temperature. It makes them, to be able to swim faster, and actually to hunt much faster. Here looks like these two have fed really, really well in the last few months, and now it's just a matter of, resting, not doing much. They are able, to reduce their heartbeats up to 1 heartbeat, per minute. That makes them, to feed, really, really slowly from whatever they had eaten. Our little elephant, I think, has gotten enough of cold water, and he is out. He's out of the water. I'm sure, he feels better up there, because it was, must have been cold staying in the water all that time. And maybe it's trying to tell mommy we need to get out of here. But you can tell how wet it is. It could be that, this is where it has started feeding, but it's still, for its size, looks like it hasn't been well for some reason. Looks like the skin doesn't look very okay for me. But yeah, I'm going to observe it a little bit more and see. Okay, let's take you to another location.
A very welcome to a hot Anbion Pinna Private Game Reserve. We are very lucky that we just found a female leopard sleeping in some very, very thick shade there. My name is DEWALD, and behind the camera we've got Gerrit, and we are just sitting here and waiting to see if this female leopard actually calls a little bit, because it's believed that she has 2 cubs that has only been briefly seen by some rangers. Oh, look at that, flicking away some of the insects or so. Look at that, looking straight at us. Oh, she's on the move. Here we go. She's coming straight towards us. Listen, she's calling. Coming out just for you all as we started filming. Just giving it a little bit of a snarl there to the camera, it seems. Wow, that was spectacular. I'm so glad that she came out. And she's just actually walking behind us a little bit up the hill, which is good for us. And I wonder if she's going to be looking for for her 2 youngsters maybe. Or maybe she's just looking for a nice shaded spot to lie down. But I think we're going to try and reposition the vehicle. It's quite dense here, so we'll have to go into 4-wheel drive and see if we can get a view of her again. I've just lost visual for now, but let's see if we can get a view. Okay, just hold on. Watch out for any branches on the sides and hold on for any bumps that I might not be seeing. Okay, so she's just walked off to the right-hand side here behind us. I can just see her. She's actually lying down in a little shady spot there. Just, Gerrit, I don't know if you can see her there. Just see her head between a little bit of grass there, and it seems like she's, you know, lying down, and she's just looking this way for a little bit. Oh, no view, almost no view at all. She's just gone and lie down in the grass there. Okay, let's see if we can reposition our vehicle again. And what I'll do is try and keep our distance a little bit, because she is a little bit nervous of the camera sticking out above the vehicle. But nonetheless, I think we should be able to get close enough to maybe get a view of her. Oh, my goodness. It is a very dense patch of grass there. Sorry, I was just raising myself up. So she's just lying in the thickets there. But I think if we are very patient today, we might actually see this female call to her youngsters. And if we're very, very lucky and we sit very quietly, then we might get a view of her and her youngsters. It's almost about between 35 and 40 degrees Celsius here today, so it's no wonder that she is moving between a little bit of shade. And she was actually here this morning where some other rangers viewed her, but the fact that she's hanging around here probably means that there is either her cubs are close by, or she's maybe got a carcass or something close by. I don't think we are going to get a view of her from where we are now, and also not a little bit up there. But I think Gerrit and I are going to see if we can maybe stick around, and then see if we can wait for her and see if she comes out, or maybe calls her cubs again.
Yes, a different area, not very far from my crocodile and elephant, and I have seen, or we have found, this lioness. She's quite a long way from us, but looks like, oh yeah, there comes another one. So there are two. I don't know if she's gonna come all the way up. It was off to the right, you can see it there, it comes. So who are these? Are they lions that we know? Well, they're quite a distance, very young. Could be some of the Olololo breakaway or the river breakaway. It's very hard. They're quite a long way from where I am, but they look very, very healthy. Looks like they need a meal. They haven't eaten. No cubs by the looks, but the area they're in is perfect for stalking and hunting. There is plenty around. Remember, you know, the last 2 years, things have been changed quite a lot. You know, the River Pride, there were over 12 lions. The Olololo Pride, there were over 19. And then there is the Mugoro, the Sausage Tree Pride, the Owinos. But mainly Olololo and River Pride, there were too many. And when the males, you know, were chased out by Olalashe and Kijana, looks like the prides really broke up and they fragmented quite a lot. We've been seeing lots of 2s and 3s. I'm looking forward to when they all come back together, and so this could be very hard for us to identify until we eventually find them either with the older lionesses that have been mating with the males, or the river pride females with cubs, but they look very well. They are along the line in between the River Pride and Mogoro. That's where they are, and it looks like they're going to be heading out, for a hunt because they need a meal. Lions here in the Mara don't really struggle. They don't go for more than 10 days without a meal, although it can be very hard when the migration leaves. When the migration leaves, I mean, the wildebeest and the zebra, that is the time of plenty, slightly easier for them to get something. When they're all gone, it's only warthogs, waterbucks, buffalo, giraffe, the larger kind, and the very small that cannot satisfy very many, stomachs. So it becomes difficult. But now, if they go out, they will find something. Definitely these two must belong to a pride, and looks like they are ready to breed by the size that they look. According to me, they look over 100 kilos, and also age-wise about 3 years old. So it's about time they start breeding. Looks like the one on the right really wants to move on, or maybe get comfortable. I'm not sure. Yes, looks like it's to get comfortable. Yeah, they do spend a lot of time sleeping, like what the one in the left is doing. But at the same time, after taking a lot of time to scan and survey the area and then learn that there is nothing much, they normally rest for a little bit. Out here in the plains, it's like watching a big screen. When there is nothing, next minute you look up, there will be something. So every now and then they'll raise their heads and look up, and that's when there could be something. Okay, I'm gonna stick here for a little bit, see what these girls are up to.
Welcome back, everybody. Well, we've come out of the river from our owl where we lost some signal, and we've got this beautiful big elephant bull with one tusk feeding right next to the car. He's 2 meters from us. His eyes are very soft. He's very relaxed. Hello, big boy. I'm just going to allow you to just listen to the sounds of him feeding. Ripping up the grass, and sometimes he gets the roots. He's not really looking for the roots right now, but when he gets it, he tries to hit it so he loses the soil. He's looking for the green, nitrogen-rich grasses. He's sort of cutting, mowing it, if you will. Oh, sorry about the back of the car, the aerial there. It's just going behind us slightly. Magnificent fellow. We are truly blessed. Seems like he's been to the water not so long ago, or at least to some mud. There's a little mud wallow just around the corner here that he's been probably wallowing in. And we're right here at Twin Dam, so we might get him going to drink. Are you going to go drink? He's with another younger elephant. It's not just behind us towards the right. There we go, that's right behind the car now. Sorry about all the aerials, everybody. That's what keeps us in communication with the outside world. I'm not going to start and reposition because of his proximity. Give him another moment and I will do so. And if you can, probably can't get his trunk there, can you, Morgan? Busy gripping the grass. Now I urge you to try and mow your lawn with your hand and grip the grass like that and do that constantly all day. The strength required is amazing. You get very sore hands. I've picked fruit before. I've also done a lot of gardening, a lot of work with my hands, and doing that with your hands alone would be very painful. You need lots of strength. Okay, I'm going to just turn the car slightly so that we can get another view. He's a very big, relaxed boy, so I'm not too concerned with him. He's not concerned with us. So that's all that matters. All of his behavior until now has indicated so. I'm just going to stop right there. Still watching us though. Still watching, but he's not concerned at all. Now, if an elephant was concerned, his tail would change its sort of shape. It gets quite stiff. His body language would change. He might lift his head slightly. He might pretend to feed, which means he'd be wrapping his trunk around things and then missing them completely and dropping them on the ground. It's displacement feeding. Big elephant bulls. He's not fully grown yet. In his late 20s, maybe around 30 or so. Still a decent sized fellow. He's been around the block. He's probably seen many vehicles and heard many human voices. They will feed on some leaves now, but mainly this time of year, due to the rains, they'll be feeding on the green grass.
So Gerrit and I just came around the corner a little bit, and there's literally just this little gap for us to see this female leopard. And you can see she's dozing off there. If you look very closely, you'll see her head bobbing up and down as she's breathing quite heavily and panting to try and cool herself down. See her tail flick every now and then as well, just as she's trying to chase some of the biting insects away. Look at her stomach moving quite a bit as she's trying to pant away. There's a bit of a cool breeze blowing. You can see the grass moving there as well as it cools down and gets a little bit later in the afternoon. This cool breeze is very welcome from my and Gerrit and I's side as well. We are being baked in the sun this afternoon. She's just twitching her ears a bit. Rosalind, you're asking how many cubs a leopard can have. I'm guessing you're asking at a time. So it's, oh, look at there, she's just picking her head up. You can see her teeth as she's panting away. So sorry, Rosalind, just to get back to your to your question, I think the most that I've heard of that leopards get, and I think the average is 2, but the most that I've heard of is actually, I think, 3 cubs. But I'm pretty sure there has been reports of 4 cubs with leopards as well, but it's very, very rare. I don't know if you saw it, like just grooming herself a little bit. So I think she's been moving around all these shaded parts, probably because she tries to find the coolest place, and also she's trying to move away from all the insects. You could see her like just flicking her ears earlier. See the flick of the ear there, trying to chase some insects that may be biting flies or something like that. And I think she's going to be moving between all the thickets around here, trying to get to a nice shaded spot, but move away from the insects. So you would think that it would just be as easy as climbing a tree, but this particular area that we're in right now is quite dense, but there's not a lot of big trees that have nice shaded stems and branches for her to climb up onto. And also not big enough trees. If I look around us, everything is about the height of the vehicle or a little bit higher, but not big enough for her to climb. See her eyes closing completely. What a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful female. So you could just see there in the back where Gerrit was filming earlier, how big the trees are with very thin branches. And we were so lucky that we found her here where she is now, or that we saw her where she was earlier. Because if we came to look for her and she was lying where she is now, there would have been no ways for us to see her. I don't think we would have even off-roaded towards this particular area. And she's so well camouflaged. Like, see her just listening around or so. So I think Gerrit and I are just gonna stick around and we'll see what she gets up to, and hopefully holding thumbs that we can see her find her youngsters. Oh, she's up and listening to something.
DEWALD, I really do hope that those cubs come back. It'll make for an awesome sighting. Have a look at this tree, everybody. I don't know if you can see exactly what we're looking at. I'll give you a moment or two to see if you can. Maybe its head will move. Oh, there we go. Can you see that? It's a little lizard, or more specifically, a tree agama. And we initially got our attention. It uses this tree and moves around. Look at those sharp little claws hanging onto the bark. And can you see that little hole that it's hanging next to? As we've been sitting here, a few insects, look like flies or all sorts of little things, are going in and out of there. I wonder if it might not be a nest of some sort. And he's been moving around the tree, popping in there and catching a few little grubs. You see how he turns his head like that? Turning, trying to get as good a view of anything flying in or out. But how's that camouflage? Isn't it just amazing? And when we first got here, he wasn't by that hole. And the reason I'm saying it's a he is he's got this incredibly blue head, which he seems to have actually dulled in color now. Their closest relative is that of a chameleon. I wonder if they haven't got a similar... Oh, little bug got his attention there. Let's see if we can zoom back in. Oh, there we go. And I don't know if you can see on the sides of his head, he's got these quite obvious holes, which he uses almost like ears. They're called tympanic membranes. You can just see it on the right-hand side of his head there. And you'll see he uses this tree as his defense, running around it, trying to get away from predators. Certain birds will come and target him on there. I'm sure he'll spend a lot of time in this tree specifically. Incredibly camouflaged. I wonder how many insects he's got out of that hole. Even since we've been here, it's been 1 or 2. The camouflage blows us away. You'll only ever see him when he's moving, and if you're looking in the right place. you'll sometimes see them, particularly when they're looking for a mate, that head will go incredibly blue and he'll like bob it up and down, nodding, trying to attract the attention of a female. I wonder if he's not using those tympanic membranes to kind of listen, to see what's going on in that hole. So I popped into this little drainage line to try and see if we can spot a leopard hanging in one of these tall trees, and that's why I was looking so carefully in these trees. And then I saw this agama instead of a leopard, but I'm going to keep going, try and see if we can maybe spot a leopard in one of these big, beautiful trees on the riverbed.
Welcome back to Tswalu Kalahari. We do have a cheetah here, while Dan goes off to look for another spotted cat there. This cheetah looks heavily panting, and just for sensitive viewers, to the right of the cheetah, there's actually a carcass of a springbok that the cheetah has just taken down. It's still catching its breath, as you can see, and we hope if we stick around with this cheetah, we might be lucky to see it starting to feed and opening up the carcass. So let's see what happens. Very, very fresh kill. I mean, you can imagine the amount of energy and effort that this animal had to exert to take this animal down, and hence it's breathing and panting like it is, just trying to catch its breath and also trying to cool down. I mean, it is a very warm day out here in the Kalahari. Rochelle, can a cheetah defend its food from hyenas and vultures? If it's one-on-one, what survival rules for these animals would be? It's very simple. It's health over everything else. So if it risks that, it means it cannot hunt again later on. So what will happen is that this animal would rather flee and not inflict any or endure any suffering to its body. And because they are successful hunters, I mean, they have a very high rate when it comes to actually hunting. So it is better for them to actually leave it and let something else like a hyena take over, because it's more powerful, and go try some luck elsewhere than to risk injury. I mean, sometimes you do find even things like your jackals that if we look around here, way back in the distance there, I mean, I think you can just catch it. There is a jackal just where Dave is focusing there. It's a little bit difficult, but there are jackals around here. So once I think the animal is being open, they might start challenging him for things like that. It's going to be interesting to see the interaction here unfold. So let's see. And he stands, approaches. Pulls it into the shade. Very typical of predators to start off at the hindquarters and the belly. I mean, it's the softest, the most filling part to start from under the belly there, going onto the rump where it's the meatiest. So even if something else comes and tries stealing, they would have had a fair amount of eating from just opening it from where it's keep biting there, as you can see. I think we're gonna try reposition and see if we can get a better view for everybody there. While we do the repositioning, I'll send you off to another location somewhere in Africa where it's very, very beautiful also.
Very good, thank you. Yes. Hi, welcome back. I'm still here with the two lionesses, and looks like one is gotten active slightly, and it's hiding behind the bush. I don't know what they have seen, but seems like there is nothing much. But I don't know what is their mind. There is a lot of animals all over, and I think they're comprehending which way to go. There's also a little bit of a drizzle, and so maybe they will take advantage of when it rains, to take, hunt. Look at that big storm coming. It's on the other side of the river, but maybe it will be coming this way. This will be, an added advantage to these girls because it does disguise or masks the smell, so it's easier for them to, stalk and go for something. But if they're not ready, sometimes they just go into the bushes and hope the rain passes quickly. Here, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to get interesting if they decide to go out. I don't know how far they would go, but there is quite a good number of animals all around, and looks like they are going to stay in there by the looks. The rain is starting to fall on them. They don't like rain. Just like other cats, they normally try and cuddle up, hope it passes, but if there's something to hunt, they will go for it quite quickly. Okay, looks like, is he gonna go? The one to the right. Now, it's just stayed still. It looks like they're going to stay there for a little bit. But these lionesses are capable of bringing down a zebra or a wildebeest. They are big enough. A warthog is a piece of cake for them. And they do need a meal every about 5 to 7 days. Here in the Mara, lions rarely go up to that time because there's always something to eat. And they go almost 3 days. But sometimes when 3 things go wrong, they can go for a little bit longer. The drizzle is starting to get heavier, and I'm hoping that they will get up and do something for us. You can hear the rain. Yeah, it's starting to come. I think I'm going to relocate slightly to get away from the rain. Let's take you to another live location while we, change, positions.
Welcome back to Djuma, everybody. We were still with our very relaxed elephant. Well, this fellow came right up to us a moment before. Very, very relaxed. Very comfortable with the car. Truly blessed to have these close encounters with these giants. And the thing is, everybody, is you get into a position with them, and if they come closer to you, it's their choice to come closer. They could always, like if you saw, I was with an elephant bull this morning. We were driving along and then we stopped, and he kind of did a little bit of a loop around us. So give them always the space that they need. And if they choose to come closer to you, we turned around to face him, and he actually came and started feeding right in front of the car. And he started feeding on a bush right next to us. And then he walked right next to me and nearly touched me. It was, I wonder what I smell like to him. Didn't seem to put him off too badly. Very, very special. So it's important to understand that elephants will show you their behavior much earlier than you expect. They won't if they are going to react in a negative way, they will react as soon as they know you're present. Hector, there are no bones in the elephant's trunk. It is all muscle. Somehow someone has identified over 100,000 or so muscles in there, which is a lot. There are muscles along the back that curl the trunk up like it is now. There are muscles along the front that pull the trunk up to taste the air, and there's muscles on either side to turn the trunk left or right. And then two nostrils, and there's muscles along each side of the nostrils, which utilize a sort of a force, a suction force for pulling water up, and obviously also breathing. And then you can imagine the dexterity of those muscles right at the tip of the trunk, which are actually in the African elephant 2 little fingers. The Indian elephant has only got 1 finger, and that is what they're actually using, very much like a hand, to do everything that they want to on the floor. It takes years for them to master the art of using the trunk, but once they've got it, they're able to do wonderful things. He just really wants to come closer. I'm sure he's going to come and say hello to us again. Maybe he wants to give you a smell this time, Morgan. Very humbling. I had it before, years ago, with the lady by the name of Michelle Henley, who did a lot of elephant research in the Timavati. Big elephant bull that she knew in the Timavati, she had collared, we're doing research on. And we'd stopped in the road and he was in front of us. He walked up to the front of the car, the bonnet, and she said, "Don't move, don't move." Now, I didn't know too much about elephants back in those days. I learned a lot from them. And the elephant put its trunk into the car and basically sniffed both mine and her face. It was wet and it was slimy to a degree, but it was unbelievable. He just gave us a proper sniff and then walked off. And it's almost what this guy did before. See, now he's choosing to come here, everybody. There's no way we're in his way. He's going to walk right up to us. He's going to say hello again. Hello, my friend. Do you want to smell my shoes? No, I don't want to smell that. Very, very cool, isn't it? Now he's going behind the car again. Now he's going to go feed on the buffalo thorn or the bushes underneath the buffalo thorn. So let's reposition ourselves. Just reverse back. We're not in his way. As I said, he's very, very relaxed. And hopefully him and his little friend, who's not as relaxed as him, a little bit shy, are going to come down and drink. But there, the buffalo thorn with lots of its grass underneath. The vegetation grows nicely under these trees. The buffalo grass itself, the Panicum maximum, loves shade. It's a semi-shade tolerant grass. It doesn't really grow out in the open areas, so they like to grow down in the drainage lines and underneath trees. And you can actually see how tall it is there. And it's what the buffalo come for feeding, as well as elephants and many other animals as well. Buffaloes will use their tongue actually to rip that grass. Elephants, their trunk. Okay, well, we're going to spend some time with these bulls. Maybe they're going to have a drink. Maybe they'll even have a little swim.
Good afternoon, fishing mobile. So apart from just getting up a little bit and looking around like when you left us earlier, she hasn't move too much, and I was just admiring her spot on her head there, and I always find it so interesting that on the face, look at all the spots and how close together they are on her forehead and on her head there. And just thinking of a leopard that I saw not too long ago, a young female in further west of this the territory of this female. Oh, she's just gone a light flat. She's quite light in color, this female as well. Just see the spots in the long grass there. Look at that. Look at the rosettes that you can see there as well. Oh, black markings with the brown inside. Just panting away. Oh, she's just looking up towards a vehicle that's coming and joining us in the sighting here. Just turning towards us. See how she's panting. Look at those eyes. Very, very light colored eyes. What a beautiful, beautiful leopard. Bit of a scratch there. Tell what you asking. Oh, look at the yawn there. A very short one tooth on her left-hand tooth there. So just to get back to your question, dear Archie, you were asking if leopards learn everything from their mother. Like most of the cat species and so, I think they do learn quite a lot, especially hunting and so. She's yawned twice now, so let's see if she actually gets up. So after yawning quite a bit like that, she's oxygenating her brain and her muscles, getting ready to maybe move a bit. Look at her panting with her mouth open. So if she yawns again, I hope she does, have a look at her left-hand top canine and on our right-hand side, and you'll see it's worn down quite a bit. Maybe from biting, trying to chew some bones over the years, but getting worn away. Look at that throat, how quickly she's panting. She's sitting upright perfectly for us just to see her face there. Have a look at just below her eyes there. Got those bit of white markings along her eye. So similar to what lions would have to help them see a little bit better at night. Got a long fur inside her ears as well, very fluffy ears. See the ear twitch every now and then, trying to get some biting flies off of her ear. But it's almost like her head is slowly but surely like going down as she's falling asleep. Going deeper and deeper into sleep. She hasn't called for youngsters again. So I think they are probably sleeping close by, or also in a nice shaded spot. Or they might be close to where we think there might be a carcass in the dry riverbed close by. Incredible, if I look without my binoculars, I almost struggle to see her there. She's just opening her mouth a little bit as she's keeping on panting, trying to regulate her temperature as much as she can. See how she's looking down. I think there's insects biting her. she's just repositioning a bit and lying as flat as can be, trying to spread her body out so that this breeze that's blowing cools her down even more. Luckily, we were with her when she moved, because there's some other vehicles that are coming towards her, sighting her, so I think we'll give them a space to come have a look. And we only want 2 vehicles around this female leopard, as to not change her behavior with the vehicles. So we'll make space for them, and I think Gerard and I are going to see if we can go and look for some other animals.
Welcome back to our cheetah with its kill. It has just managed to open the hindquarters, and every now and then you can actually hear the clicking and the crushing if you listen carefully. There is a little bit of a breeze now, but when the breeze stops a little bit, you can actually hear those teeth getting to work. Very, very heavy painting there. If you look at how Dave has actually moved, look at where the actual kill was taken from. Just beneath the head there, you can see the jawline of the cheetah actually grabbing the springbok there. They would actually come underneath the animal and actually choke it, or actually try puncture the windpipe and keep holding the windpipe until the animal actually dies. And that's how they would actually take the kill and make the kill. And from there, leave it a little bit like we found it and try cool off for some time. And soon after, they have to get right into it before any other competition can come their way. Just digging in there. Look how it's using its molars, trying to tear the skin. I mean, if you look at these animals, they've got molars that almost have a scissor kind of shearing or snapping or tearing motion, and that's what they would use going on their side and tilting their head like that, is just to try and cut and shear off that meat and the skin. I think it's just now tearing the stomach and opening it, getting to the vital organs there. There we go. Denver, I've been very, very fortunate in the line of work that I do, that sometimes we follow these animals and actually it pays off following that. You actually see the actual hunt. So I have been fortunate enough that I've seen a few of those, and it is mind-blowing experience to see how everything just unfolds, from the way they stalk, the way they use the wind when they do start hunting. They would take consideration of all of that, and when they start accelerating and using that element of surprise on the animals, the takedown itself, where you just see a cloud of dust bursting, and then sometimes the animal doesn't even have the time or the chance to even make a school, and it's a clinical clean death. As graphical as the picture I'm painting now, it just happens like that, and it's as quick as saying what I've just said now. So yes, in the bush, experiencing that, it's just a mind-blowing thing. Now sucking a little bit on the blood there. You could hear that. Listen to that. I think the wind is muting the sounds that we're getting here for the camera to actually capture it, and the mic to get it. But it's such a ambience right now here. Now chewing on what looks like the liver, a very rich nutrient organ. Skydavi, the biggest competition for cheetahs in Tswalu would definitely be hyena, would be vultures. Not so much with lion. I mean, these animals try avoid each other, but predominantly your scavengers are your biggest threats to these cats here in Tswalu. And because it's such a vast land, the pressures are not that big, but there are encounters where these animals have to face each other and actually compete. He's done good progress from just opening there to where he's at now. He's really making good progress there, filling that belly as quickly as he can. Elsa, how much of a carcass can a cheetah eat? They would probably in one sitting consume about, I'd say, 10% of the whole carcass. Remember, the vital organs, or the stomach and the hindquarters, would be the most filling. So that's what they would first go for. And after that, they might take a bit of a rest. We are close to water, and because blood makes these animals a little bit thirsty, they might leave it and go drink, come back for a second round and nibble, not as much as what they would have started with. So it will vary from also how much of the previous time they've had to eat. If you look at, is it a day that they haven't eaten, 2 days that they haven't eaten? So all of that would come into play. But you're looking on average, if a cheetah is very, very hungry, for an antelope like that, they would probably at one go take about 10% of that antelope. I mean, look at her side now. From the time we started seeing it, the belly has just gone fuller and fuller and fuller, and you'll keep seeing that as he progresses to feed. And soon we'll have a little break and do exactly what I just explained a little bit earlier. I'll let you follow with other properties, and we'll stick around a little bit with this cheetah and see how much of a progress he does.
Welcome back over down to the south, down to Djuma. We're actually just crossed over to Chitwa, everybody, where we found one of the wildebeest, probably one of the dominant male wildebeest. Every time I come into Chitwa, there are these two bulls that we see hanging around, but this looks like a mature individual. And unlike the elephant, who eats long grass, using his trunk to turn and twist it, the wildebeest prefers a very short grass that's been chopped down. So actually an elephant's grazing, as well as a hippo or rhino or buffalo grazing, lowers the grass to a nice level that the wildebeest then chops. They like it very short. There you go to the Masai Mara, you see the big herds of wildebeest there. Obviously different species, the white-bearded, but you won't find them in the long grass. They're only in the burned patches or in areas that have been chopped down. Huge amounts of grazing would need to occur to chop all that grass down. That's why fire is such an important driving force in those systems. But like most of these grazing animals, they don't have teeth on the top palate. They got teeth on the bottom, and then the top palate is without teeth. So they use their teeth against a hard palate to rip the grass. So the buffalo uses its tongue to rip it, also no teeth in the top front, like a zebra who can crop the grass down. All these other animals, the ruminants for the most part, just have the lower incisors. The top ones is just a flat palate. Obviously the shape and design of the mouth would be perfectly designed for the length of grass that they feed on. Impalas, they actually have almost a cleft lip, able to push their face right down onto the ground and able to graze very, very low down. It's animals like impala and wildebeest who are prone to cause overgrazing because of their ability to crop the grass at too low an angle. Grass, once it's chopped too short, doesn't do very well, and it often dies, leading to bare patches, but obviously natural. But in high numbers and high concentration, wildebeest and warthog as well, because they do a lot of digging. Wildebeest, warthog, impala are quite destructive to the environment, known as Category 3 feeders. As for your most part, the bulk feeders, the large bulk grazers, hippo, rhino, zebra, buffalo, they chop the grass down, but they leave it at an acceptable level. A little bit longer than most of you would leave your lawn at home, but at a level that it keeps the grass fresh, and it actually stimulates the grass they're feeding, and that facilitates opening it up and allowing it to be fed upon by animals like the wildebeest. So it's why these animals can coexist together, because they actually feed on different parts of the plant. The wildebeest and the mara actually facilitate the feeding for the wildebeest. It's probably why their migration initially occurred together the way it did. And because massive fire practices that happen there now, it obviously stimulated the grass to a huge degree, and it made it a lot more suitable for wildebeest, who then in turn did a lot better. When the grass is very tall and very long, wildebeest and zebra do very badly with regards to lion because they can't see them. But if you've seen in the open plains of the Mara where the system is hugely extensive and after those massive burns very, very open, the wildebeest seem to be safe, although they do get a little bit complacent in those large herds, thinking someone else is watching. You'll notice this fellow every now and again puts his head up, has a look around. There are some impala and waterbuck around, so he's hoping that if someone else spots something, he'll be okay. Johnny, I didn't know that cows actually ate rocks. They might lick the ground or eat the soil to get certain minerals in, and a lot of animals will do that. They will eat certain parts of the soil, rocks, even bones, soil, but not necessarily rocks, more like soil that they can break up and can be used for minerals. It's not really to do with digestion. Birds will ingest stones so as to help with the grinding mechanism in the gizzard. The gizzard is a muscular contraption that all the food goes into, and it's like a grindstone. And so many birds, especially seed-eating birds, will have stones inside there that don't pass out of the gizzard, that rub together with the muscles, and they help to crush, just like we would have with barley and corn. They help to crush the husks and to open it up and to help with the digestion. But if you ever see these animals licking or eating ground, it's not necessarily rocks that they're looking for, but it is definitely the minerals located in the soil that might be deficient in the animal's diet. Bones is another one you'll find towards the breeding season or the calving or lambing season, especially in kudu and giraffe. You'll see females eating bones on the ground. Osteophagy. You just add phagy to the end of the word, osteo for bone, and then you get geo, which is the term used for animals eating the soil or the earth, geophagy. And then some animals will actually feed on the dung of their parents straight after birth, so as to get the enzymes and bacteria and microorganisms in their gut to help with digestion, and that is called coprophagy. Tortoises will do that to get the calcium out of hyena dung. Might sound quite gross and revolting, but it happens. It happens. So geophagy, osteophagy, and I forgot the other one, coprophagy. Very nice ecological words.
Thanks, Steve. So we're back to Nyala Road, an area here where we discovered this one of the youngsters of dwarf mongoose, which the parents, they're actually foraging around here. And they actually just found themselves into that little mound. And they're all just making sure that everybody's, when they're not around here, they're all safe. They're all just going to come out every now and then. As you can see, a little bit of her eyes sticking out, the nostrils, beautiful ears I got. And they are strictly diurnal animal, move daily basis of a daylight, feed on pretty much insect, and they actually feed on termite as well, grasshoppers, beetles, centipedes, and snails as well, be taken. So they are kind of like smallest carnivores we can find in this area. And they're social, moving in such a group where there's in that group, alpha male and alpha female, and a lot of other adult as well, mixed of females, young males, big males, daughters, and they are social animal. I'm not sure if they're going to move anywhere since the parents, they're in this thicket. We can't view them right now. They're probably going to just view around just for their safety. Of course, they've been told of, and since this young, all animals are told of a danger. If anything they're not aware of, they're probably going to shoot back to that wall they came from. As you can see, they're trying to get in and out. But unfortunately, they weren't just going to vanish permanently, just going to make sure what we are in, of course, they're just going to move out when we are gone. dust, you want to know if they built this mound. No, they don't really build a mound, but this mound is actually belong to a termite. So termites, they build a mound. Usually sometimes a mound collapse due to a lot of causes happen. Maybe a queen die, and that what happened there. So mound, this so young, it's probably just well abandoned very early and before well developed. So over the years, the rain's been washed off. As you can see, a lot of entrance already showing up there. This is how we are able to tell this mound has actually been over here for quite some times. Only time you see a lot of holes, and the rain has been over it for a number of years. And then, of course, it's just a clear soil they build up from, these creatures. While it's not maintained, it's quite easy for the rain to wash it off. Eventually, you see a lot of colony, a lot of entrance where during activation, this mound was active. These little creatures are used to forage using this colony a little bit. Such a beautiful eyes of this dwarf mongoose looking at us. Cute little ears as well. So when I say younger, they can actually able to hunt themselves. But of course they need a lot of care from parents who would raise them, making sure that they grow up safe. Usually they stay in a number of probably 12 to 15 in group. And that's the biggest number you get, sometimes up to 20. And they're highly territorial, where male that dominate, or usually every time you can tell which one will get out of the mound, he will move around the mound. So what he does, he touch tree, he walk over grasses. So what it does, they have anal gland, which is, when they do that, over grasses, and the gland would open and then attach to grasses. So for those that don't know, they were there, and they were able to tell, because so many other groups out there, they may forage, not know in this area it's taken by the others. So they tend to breed anything from September, November there. So this is where you're able to see the young one. So we're going to carry on. And while we're doing that, I'm going to be taking you to another safari guide who will continue to show you the beauty of the wilderness in Africa.
Well, back to the Mara, and here I have a mixed herd of, herbivores, mainly zebra and wildebeest. Both are grazers, but with totally different kind of feeding. Of course, I think you heard about Steve were talking about, their preferred way of feeding. For the wildebeest, they are very selective feeders, mainly feeding on the leaves of the grass and soft parts, whereas the zebra prefer, and can go with the coarse part, the stem, and even the root. They can feed on it, and that's why they are not easily affected by harsh conditions, and you'll never see a thin zebra unless it's sick or agely. Here we have all three that do migration. The wildebeest, being the main one. This animal can live up to about 20 years, and believe me, when young, they usually tawny color, just like the topi you see there. They're born brown, but only after 2 months is when they get their dark color. I'm talking about the wildebeest, but those are toppies. And in tow is cattle egrets, taking full advantage of all those creepy crawlies that are being disturbed by those toppies. You can tell every time the toppies move faster, the cattle egret increases speed. So they can get as much as possible within the shortest time possible. The wildebeest are still here with us. They haven't gone back to the Serengeti. There's still plenty to feed on. And For what reason why they haven't gone back, I'm not really sure. But one of it is that we still have plenty of grass. We've been getting lots of rain, so they might stick here a little bit longer. Well, okay, we have another grazer over there, and that is the Cape buffalo. Looks like they're very well fed. And now it's time for a rest. I'm sure during the night they will go towards water. But this is the Cape buffalo, and they go in herds of up to 300, 400. Finak, Jumbo. Well, it's a symbiosis called mutualism, where, while they're walking like that, there are some ticks that hang on to grass, and every time an antelope or a grazer passes by, they will land onto their host. And so by the wildebeest moving and dropping them onto the ground, they can be seen, they can be exposed. And so the cattle egrets, try and minimize the spread of disease by feeding on these ticks and other small insects, Finak. But basically here, there is not much of a disease apart from ticks, and there are not very many. As you can see, the animals here are usually very clean. They are kept at check by these birds, and also they do a lot of dust bathing. The animals, they do smother them, and so you rarely get to see too many ticks on these animals. Mostly, if you want to see ticks, you see them in elephants and giraffes, but these other smaller herbivores tend to keep away or are able to fend them off. I don't know if it is the sweat that they produce after walking long distances that chases them away, but they're always off the ticks. But yes, the cattle egrets do get rid of ticks, tsetse flies on the ground that could, find their host and suck blood, infecting, the wildebeest with disease. The Cape buffalo is our largest grazer here, and they do really well. They are not selective, feeders like the wildebeest. All types of grasses are welcome. They have a very efficient digestive system. They are water dependent, and they thrive well in areas where there's all different types of grasses. There is no leader or a dominant male in a breeding herd of buffalo like the one you see there, because the ratio of females to males is almost the same. So only when a female comes into season is when, big bulls will try and fight each other, outdo each other to have a chance to breed. Gestation is 11 months, and they give birth to one almost every 3 years. Well, it looks very beautiful here. There's a big storm approaching. I'm going to try and dodge it. So I'm going to move on, and while I do that, let's see what's happening in another live location.
From the big herd to our lion, who seems like he's watching over baby Bahati and her mom, which is very, very nice to see. We have some people who've come to enjoy as well. Sorry about that. So Bahati's mom is busy grooming her and cleaning her. Very, very nice. So the social distance has improved. Remember I told you mom was not going to go anywhere because of this land closer to them. And I hope at night the rest of the pride will come and stick and hang around together with these two. And at least, okay, this young male lion has woke up. See how he's watching. Mom has growled again. Okay, I can hear you, Mom. This has been going on for the last, 7 hours. They've been out here in the open. Good thing that this lioness is looking very fed. And at least Bahati can drink lots of milk. But I'm sure by tomorrow she might need to go and hunt. A little bit of some cleanup there. She has to keep on looking if he's coming closer or not. Because of the storm approaching, I'm sure Mom wants to go somewhere. It's a little bit chilly. You can see Mom cleaning the baby there. Shadow, thank you for your question. At the moment, it's very difficult for her to hide the cub. If he keeps on falling, he can't leave. It seems like he's following them, and he's been here for the last 7 hours. So I'm sure Mom has to wait for the rest of the sister to come and at least make sure that those sisters can keep him at bay while she leads the cub to a safe area. But at the moment, she can't leave or take the cub to safety if he's still here. That baby needs some warmth, and so she has to cling on to Mom as long as she's out here in the open. Because they're beginning to be active, I'll still sit here and wait to see what they're going to do as I take you over to another live location.
Welcome to Chitwa Watering Hole in Chitwa. Where I'm going to just give you a moment or two just to listen to the wonderful bird calls. Actually going to point it out. There's a Dedrick's cuckoo on the top of the tree there. Up at the top left. There we go. You could probably hear him calling. Oh. Dedrick's cuckoo, they've returned. They are brood parasites of the weavers, masked weavers. Now I'm just going to allow you a moment to listen to some more of the birds calling and just to take in this wonderful afternoon scene. Chattering of the red-billed buffalo weavers. Oh, Randy, yes, there are indeed crocodiles in this dam. Normally 2 quite big ones, a few little ones. I've been scanning out to see if I can see any, and I haven't managed to yet. A few hippos. Lots of activity here. You never know what you might find when you just spend a bit of time sitting and waiting at a watering hole. There's always birds to be seen. Inquisitive little hippos that like to stand on their mothers' backs. Anything could come down and drink. Hippo hide, hello. You want to know if hippo could survive a full day out of water? Probably. Probably, I mean, but being in the sun it would affect them. I think they'll definitely survive a couple of days, but longer than that, their skin will just start to dry out. I mean, they already produce their own sort of, their own type of antiseptic cream mixed with sun cream on their skin. So I'm sure it would help, but they've evolved to live in water. They've evolved to survive with permanent water. So out of water for longer than a couple of days, I think, would definitely be to their detriment. This small tree in the island there, in the middle there's a whole lot of weavers nesting on there, Morgan. I think that's where the Dedrick's cuckoo. The male Dedrick's cuckoo would have been calling like that, trying to attract a mate. And they're always around weaver colonies. And those are some lesser masked weavers out in the open, very, very well protected against most predators. A monitor lizard could probably get there. Gymnogene, African harrier hawk. Nice out on the water. But the Dedrick's cuckoo, they come in. Once these nests are built, the female hangs around, the male distracts the female from the nest, and when she leaves, the female Dedrick's cuckoo pops in there and lays an egg or two, or in one anyway, one egg at a time, and then she leaves, and then those eggs are reared by those weavers. It's a very cheeky strategy. There's only about 1% of bird species in the world that are brood parasites. The cuckoos, honey guides, widers. You always find them in close association with the host species. Dedrick's cuckoo, though, has actually got a number of hosts that it uses. It's not only the weavers, but generally a Dedrick's cuckoo that was hatched from a weaver colony, say a lesser masked weaver, will look to lay its eggs in a lesser masked weaver's colony. So that's how you get this variation. It's not that you get one that's reared by a lesser masked weaver that then decides to go and lay its egg in a robin's nest. It's the other way around. Generally, they focus on whoever their adoptive parents would be. Then they follow on that trait. And what's interesting, the variability in the egg coloration that the Dedrick's cuckoo specifically has been seen to use. It takes a lot of time to be able to dye your eggs. There's a change in the coloration. There's actually a gland in the body that allows them to dye the egg. And it's not something that happens overnight. It's got to take a very long time of selective breeding and selective change. Bishops, weavers, sparrows, but a wide range of species, and each of them the egg actually mimics very similarly the egg of the chosen host species.
Welcome back. Female cheetah still at it, hard at work. She took a bit of a break, and she's now actually pierced through onto this springbok, and it looks like actually the springbok was carrying. I'm gonna give a big disclaimer here. It's going to be a little bit graphical what I'm going to ask Dave to do here, and just to try point out what the female cheetah had done. If you look closer to the thigh there, you can actually see the foot or the limbs of the fetus, and that's what this mother, this springbok was carrying, and that's what the cheetah now went over onto the other side to try and feed on this fetus. So unfortunate for this, but it's how nature rolls. Staring right through our souls. There's a bit of a wind picking up, clouds also covering. We might be getting our first rain, maybe tonight or so. A very good smell in the air. Nobody really can't miss that smell of rain. We all miss it, especially here in the dry Kalahari. The stomach is getting fuller, the panting hasn't stopped, and obviously with the stomach getting fuller, the panting will also almost increase, because you can imagine that diaphragm is being pushed further and further with the stomach filling, so the breath becomes a little bit shallower and shallower, and that's why they would breathe like that. It looks like she's gonna take a bit of a breather again from feeding. Might come back a little bit later also. So those are the intervals that this female will keep feeding and resting, feeding and resting. Joy, this is not the mother with the cubs. We followed the mother with a cub, I think it was a day ago, and she was not successful that evening. And this, we are on the eastern side of the reserve, and this is a different, completely different individual, but also a female. The mother with the cubs, I'm not sure where she is today, but I hope she's also been successful in the last few days. Hannah, is there any part of the carcass that this female cheetah won't eat? I don't think so. I doubt it. The only part that I can think of that would really be difficult for her to actually eat would be the skull, because it's just so hard. But the skin, the cartilage, the bones that they can break, they'll feed on. Whatever they cannot break or tear, it's what would be left behind, and it's very, very minimal. You're looking at things like the hoofs and the skull and so on, but predominantly everything goes. If they can chew on it and break it or so, they'll swallow it. So Mother Nature, nothing really goes to waste, and whatever she leaves behind, other things would come in and utilize that. We've got jackals that would come and try and nibble on the leftovers. We've got hyenas that have the jaw power to actually then further break down those bones that she doesn't have the power to, and just everything gets utilized. Half the time, the only thing that would really remain after even the hyenas and the jackals have gone through the scene would probably then be the horns, and that we do sometimes still see lying around in the reserve, but predominantly everything really goes. I think if this female continues resting like she is, I'm tempted to say we leave her and move on, and we'll come later to check how far she's gone with this carcass.
I'm so happy for those cheetahs that they found something to eat. And this is what I wish for this mama lion, to find something to eat as well. Because look at that cub. She's nursing her, and they need always to hunt on a regular basis. But seems like that young male is not making her move out from here. I'm not quite sure if they're going to spend the night here or not. But could be the rest of the pride will come. And I'm sure when it gets to a little bit of dark, he might want to get closer, but Mom is going to maybe call the rest of the pride to come here, because she's from the Lola pride and he's not. So that is why Mom is not allowing him to get closer. Mom is staring at her like, what's happening? Leanne, thank you for your question. The one thing that we always identify when looking at lions is looking at their whisker markings. So each and every lion has a different whisker pattern. So when you look at the right or the left, they're just like our fingerprints. And then some of these lions have, of course, ear notches from maybe when they were fighting, or maybe scrap from the bushes. So you can find some that have ragged or notch ears, a little bit of some scars on their face. But one thing that we always go for is the whisker marking. And of course, with the big males, it's easy because of their mane. Some might have blondie manes, some might have very dark manes. So that is one way we always check when we're looking at lions. Like for example, that lion, if you look carefully, the right ear has a little bit of a notch. And of course, that is different from the other lionesses in her pride. And that is one way of identifying these lions. Grumpy old man, thank you so much. Yes, she needs to file that order. He's facing a different direction, and I'm sure because that lioness keeps on staring at him, that's why he's showing that he's not concerned with the baby. Because anytime he faces her, she wants to come directly to him. I'll be keen or interested to see if the rest of the pride will come here, especially her sisters. If they will come for the rescue, if they'll come to support and push that young male out. So I'm still going to wait here and see what will happen. Mom is sniffing the air, trying to pick up some scent. I know soon she'll start to roar, to make a contact call, so I'm waiting for that moment. And also hoping for the rest of the pride to come here. Brian, from the look of it, the cub will be safe because the mom has protected that cub for the entire day. And I'm sure if the rest of the pride will come, then it's even better. I'm going to sit here and wait because it looks like she wants to be on the move as I take you over to another live location.
Beautiful, the lines. Now we're back into this very high ground, but looking at this bird specific, that crowned lapwing, you can see looks like it had a little bit of a broken leg, but it's recover, I think. But I don't think it's going to be straight up again. Held up properly, but it's bent. As you can see, it's trying to balance. Probably survive out of somebody else's mouth. Usually, if, jackals will hunt them, especially when they're younger. But the mother makes sure they all make it up sometimes. Sometimes they come very aggressive to anybody around their nest, or they've, hatched, then their little chicks are so well camouflaged that they're not actually visible for anybody. Unless if they're then trying to cross the road. Otherwise, is where they come vulnerable. I guess this happened when this one was that big enough. She's standing on one of the one that is actually properly. It's actually one of the difficult, pain when a bird like this, since you can see how very skinny leg it is. It's not such a lot of blood vessel running through them, so it's quite harder to able to recover or be straightened up again after they healed properly. The bone is going to connect, but this bird is going to have to do a lot of moving around, so it can't be straight up. It has to use it sometimes, and it can fly up. This is when they change position to another. Now they're quite busy feeding on anything. Ants, sugar ants, most grasshoppers. They're able to move around also at night. You find them in a very high open air area. So they also sometimes, when I say high ground, you would sometimes find them close to water, but they are sometimes can be found far from the water. Right now where we are is now where it's near water all around. So even in a dry season you still find them around here, but they were able to survive. Shame is trying to balance, because they sometimes preen themselves, sometimes they use this leg to be able to scratch wherever they can. Just going to take a moment of a silence and listen to one of the bird calling from the background. Hear that? So that was a red-crested coran calling in the background, where we don't have a visual right now. Trying to puff up a little bit. Again, all right. So sometimes they form kind of a very small group of bird. Good afternoon, Haley. Welcome to your beautiful show this afternoon. So, my favorite call of a bird, I would put the fish eagle first, since they make such a beautiful sound. But in generally, if you're in the bush, you finally fall in love with any of a sound come from the bush. Sometimes you find all of an instrument made by different birds, they finally connect, and then that's how the beauty of a melody take place from there, and they will ring in your mind that you're in a really African bush. So but African fish eagle individually, I'll put it on front, and then the second, I wouldn't mind listening to most of birds that are making such a beautiful call, most especially dusk and dawn when the sun is about or it's gone. Listen to a finally sound of the bird, and then you'll see all of the birds will be making a lot of sounds, because it's coming a time where they won't make any more sounds. So it's actually very important for them to be able to communicate, able to know where the other partner is before they sleep. The next things in the morning, they will forage in that direction. That's how they will hooked up again. Thanks, Ellie, for the question. It's very nice to know what we most like most here in this wilderness. It's busy searching around this bird. There's not such a competition when it comes to feeding. Zazette, welcome to a beautiful show this afternoon. So you want to know why do the bird puff up their feathers sometimes? A lot of time you see the first thing, the francolin, they would dust bath, and then from there they will shiver a little bit and they puffed up. And most of the time when it's cold, they puff their They feather their whole body so that they provide warmer neck coat. But could be that sometimes even during a hot, what you see in this specific bird here, it's all about repositioning their feather. Since they sometimes fly, change position to another, during that flight sometimes their feather doesn't really actually go back to normal positions. So when they puff, they're trying to position their feather, it comes smooth again. So they will be vulnerable to any bird of prey, such as eagle, even leopard sometimes, or hunt birds like this size. And it's nothing in there, just a little bit of a snack, but it helps. That would keep the animals for a little bit of energy, just like an energy bar when you're hungry. You drink water, you got life back on to track again. There's quite a few of them around here. Like I say, you find sometimes many of them in the same group. A flock of these birds sometimes can be a number of probably 7, sometimes 2. The nose in the background. That beautiful call from the background there, that call run, it made us such a beautiful flight right up from that ground. And then when it comes down, folded their wings, pretend like they've been shot from the air. And this is kind of like territorial display for males specifically, red-crested koran. And they mainly make sound after doing that kind of a call. But I don't have a visual of it now, so I'm going to carry on with my journey and look around. And while we're doing that, I'm going to be taking you to another guide safari where we'll be carrying on showing you the beauty of the wilderness in Africa.
Alanis is still guarding her cub. We're still waiting here, not leaving this sighting because I would love to see what will happen if Mom is going to take her to a very nice place for safety, or if the rest of the pride, her sisters, will come here. Because previously there's about 3 lionesses that were accompanying her. So one of them went about 1 kilometer away, and the rest, the 2 that were left, went to the canyon. So I'm keen to see where she'll be heading. She's looking that direction where those 2 lionesses went to. But then this young male is here, and that's the reason why she's still on the grass. She had to make a tough decision to sit here in the sun for the entire day. Alpha, thank you so much for your question. Normally, lions will introduce their cubs when they're about 6 or 7 weeks old, and that is one good time when they introduce them, because they're still very young and very much playful. So the rest of the pride are kept away when they're about. See, he's up again. So when lions are that young, they need to be introduced, but Mom will always take care of them, because if these other lions had youngsters, they're sometimes so playful to the cubs, and sometimes they may end up injuring or harming them when they're playing, and that's the reason they have to wait when they're about a little bit older, like 6-7 months old, to be introduced back to the rest of the pride. He's feeling a little bit cold, that's why he came on the termite mound there. But Bahati's mom is not very happy with him. a little bit tough for her sitting in this and lying in the sun for the entire day. And now it's going to rain. So we're not quite sure if she's still going to be here or maybe take her where she can hide this cub away from the rain. But let's hope it doesn't rain, because that young male is not leaving this place soon. Still holding on and waiting as I take you over to another live location.
Well, we are sitting here with this lovely young elephant bull who was so beautifully standing in the middle of an open area, and then he decided, just when you were about to have a look at him, that he would go and hide himself. He's obviously very shy. Hi, I'm Mike, and behind the camera is Seb, and you've joined us here at Eco Training's Pride Lands Conservancy. I know we're joining you a bit late this afternoon. We've been gallivanting all over the place looking for a lioness. We weren't able to get her on film, unfortunately, so we decided to leave her and come and look closer to Leopard Dam. And we've been so lucky, we found this beautiful elephant. And he's busy feeding at the base of what looks like an old leadwood tree. You can see how white his tusks are. He's been in the dam, probably at Leopard Dam, and he's been bathing, and that's why his tusks look so clean. There's another few elephant bulls in this area. He's just going to go and feed with them, I'm sure. You can see just how bright and emerald green these leaves are, and the grasses are starting to grow thick and long. And that's in fact what we've seen most of the elephants feeding on right now, is the grasses at the base of these trees and bushes, because that is what's softest and most nutritious at this time of year. The leaves are, although very green, still have things like tannins in them, which are not as good for an elephant in large quantities, or for any animal, really. Oh, our cloud's just coming over now. It's becoming nice and cool. I think a lot of animals are going to start getting active now. I do hope that those that do get active are a little bit less camera shy than this young elephant bull. You can just about see his ears flapping there. I'm reluctant to move the vehicle because I know that we are in the African bush on a live safari, and we do tend to have every now and again a little bit of signal issues. So we'll continue to watch this elephant as he slowly moves away into the bushes closer to his friends. There's lots of birds calling right now. It's amazing. This time of year is the springtime. So we've got things like southern white-crowned shrikes calling in abundance, all ready to mate before the spring is over. Diane, that's a great question, and I mean, I'm not a scientist per se, so I don't know exactly what the nutrients that they would find in them are, but right now the plant, the trees and the grasses are all sucking nutrients out of the ground, minerals, like goodness, now I said minerals like something, like sodium, salts, for example, potassium, all sorts of things are being sucked up the roots and into the plant, and that is what the elephant can then feed on. Different plants use different minerals, so, the elephants are quite sensitive to what they need. But what's most important is just the soft vegetation, so that they're not damaging their teeth, which would have been damaged quite heavily during the winter time when they were feeding on mostly just dry sticks and branches. And of course, remember, tannins are present in leaves, and tannins are very bitter and in fact quite toxic. And so leaves and trees are able to raise the level of tannins in their leaves over a very quick period, actually, when they are being fed upon by animals like elephants, in order to get the animal to move away and choose a different tree, because that one will be quite bitter. So you see often, in the winter time, when there isn't much of this green vegetation, as you see this elephant sticking his trunk right at the base of these trees, getting the greenest, lushest grasses that haven't been burnt by the sun. In the wintertime, you'll see elephants actually putting dust in their mouth, scratching with their feet on sodic areas like where they are right now, and throwing the dust in their mouth. And that's because the plants do not have the minerals in them, so they have to actually literally eat the soil. And that's called geophagia. And elephants are not the only animals to do it. Many animals will do it. Oh, good old bum scratch there. Get right underneath the tail. That's the good stuff. Oh, you see that he stopped there for a second to look at me. Sorry, old chap. Yes, we are watching you just because we think it's very interesting. Seb and I promise to leave you in peace after this, after you've had a good old bum scratch. It looks like he's got a bit tangled in there. There's lots of branches all around him. I wonder what he's going to do next.
Welcome back over to Tortured this time, everybody. We've got a elephant bull who is making his way quickly down what is known as Second Rock here. On Tortured, he found himself a puddle of water. Oh, another one. Amazing how these sandstone rocks will hold water after the rain. I've actually, in Botswana, had a little bit of a jacuzzi in one of these little ones. A nice sort of divot in the soil, in the rock that over time, just with water sitting on the rock, tends to weather the rock down. And what was once a teacup's size worth of sort of cavity gets bigger and bigger and bigger due to the chemical sort of weathering and sort of the agents in the water. And eventually, because the sandstone's quite easily weathered, eventually get these puddles and pools. And I spent some time with some friends sitting in submerged. Obviously, we're sitting down, but we were submerged up on a very beautiful rock face looking out over Botswana. It was magical. This elephant is getting himself a nice little drink. It's the one sort of water source you can almost be certain you can dip into that you won't find a crocodile, but then always be cautious, everybody. If you can't see the bottom, or if it's murky, there could be anything inside. Megan, when you see an elephant walking like that towards you on a flat bit of ground, you should count yourself, be careful a little bit, but when they walk downhill, they walk like that. They can't help themselves. There's a lot of weight going downhill, and it pushes them down, so they get that swagger, which makes them walk quite quickly. But if you're on an open, flat piece of ground and you see an elephant walking like that towards you, you should exercise extreme caution. Especially if the head is sort of shaking left to right. Generally, big elephant bull in must does that. Lovely amount of water around as we move through. I'm actually trying to follow up on a lioness of the Tortured pride that was left in this area this morning, but she seems to have vanished, so we're just going to check around a little bit and see what we can find. But we came across Second Rock, and just up on the top there's actually a wonderful spot. Many of the landowners will stop there for a sundowner. It's always a great place. It's open, it's exposed. You can see everywhere and affords some wonderful views. Maybe we'll do loop this afternoon and get ourselves up top there for a little quiet moment. It's going to be a nice sunset this afternoon. There's a little bit of cloud in the atmosphere. Stuck in bed, you could kind of hear the feet move. There's no crunching, but you can hear the movement of the footwind, especially when they're going downhill, because there's a little bit of a slip. But it's incredible if they're walking over pathways over these sandstone cliffs. If they're going up, you almost can't hear them. In Botswana, in a place in the south called Mashatu, there's some wonderful places there that have actually been worn down. The tracks walking down and up and down these hills have been worn down by elephants. And it's smooth, and we often use them as well for trails. And if an elephant's on one of those tracks, you won't hear him coming. They are very silent walkers with that very big pad in the back of the foot, which is actually also what helps them to propel themselves down the hill, because it's designed to, on a flat piece of land, push them forward. That's what it's designed for. It's like a pump, like a push in the back. You express the weight on it, and it pushes the foot forward. That's why elephants are able to move like they do. But downhill, he's got no chance of stopping the push. And that, together with gravity, leads to that very awkward movement and that swagger when they're essentially trying to slow themselves down. If you've ever gone down a hill with a heavy bag on your back, you've definitely changed the way you walk. Otherwise, you're going to fall on your bottom or your face. Have a listen, you might hear him walking down now. Maybe he'll come say hello. We've had such a wonderful afternoon with elephants as it is. He hasn't quite quenched his thirst. Here we go. You can kind of hear how the bottom of the foot sort of scrapes against the sandstone. That's all you'll hear.
Good afternoon and welcome back to And Beyond Ngala. So I was trying to save it till it got a bit cooler, but just driving around the area where the Birmingham Pride was left this morning, they've all got up and are moving in a northerly direction. They're not too far away from the Timbavati riverbed, and yeah, we've got one of the Ross males. He's actually right at the back of the Pride. So all the rest of them are up ahead, and I'm going to try and follow him until they get into the riverbed. And then follow him directly, or try to. If they keep going the direction they're going to cross that riverbed, which will be an amazing scene, particularly if we've got a good spot from the bank. Let me just try and loop around quickly. So I think with them being unsuccessful on their hunt this morning and being quite hungry, and all 18 members being together this morning for the first time in an incredibly long time, that's brought these guys, or encouraged them to move quite early on. He's bringing up the rear. I didn't see the two little cubs. I wonder if that female, the mother of those two cubs, isn't hanging at the back, trying to take care of them. Maybe hoping that the rest of them are going to make a kill this evening and that she can maybe join in on them. I keep following here. Hey, watch out on your left, Odie. Oh, Sherbet. They don't pick the easiest routes, do they? Okay, so in the meantime, I think I'm going to send you to another live location while I try and find a good spot to watch them cross the riverbed. They're not far ahead. Just as you can see, those bigger trees up ahead is exactly where the riverbed is.
Thanks. Hope you get around to this line. So we come to this very beautiful area here. You can see the greenery around that animal. We're looking at the greater kudu. It's actually male. You can't see his horn very nice because this is what they do. They sometimes are not actually very relaxed at all. They always run around, especially males. Females are less shy. Males are very shy, but we can able to see its back a little bit. You may see a little bit of silhouette of his horn through these bushes, but I believe he might actually maybe walk towards us or move into bushes like this, because that's what they do. They are always find near thicket, because they're meant to be browser animal, feeding on twigs, leaves, shooting off of flowers in trees, and comes to very much best season for them to be able to benefit a lot from this greenery around in these trees, where they're able to make it through winter where it's dry, and then they're able to move around way off distances trying to find what they need to eat, go back to drink, sometimes twice, 3 times a day. And male, sometimes there's a system where they separate from females. Find sometimes all group of male up to about sometimes 7, 5, 10 bull together sometimes. It's been seen. And always the dominant male, he's always around there. And that he would have a lot of a privilege in terms of checking the status for the females, if they're female around. Here he comes out. Look at this. And he's actually have marked off on his forehead. It looks like a white V showing in there. So it looks like we're going to lose him like this. I'm going to move on. And while we're doing that, I'm going to again take you to another guide. Safari guide will be showing you again the beauty of the African wilderness.
Wow, the weather is coming in, rolling very quickly. The smell of the rain hanging in the air there. And as you can see, a little bit of a dust storm also building up. Very strong winds picking all the same grains. And you can feel it actually coming and swishing past our bodies. It's dramatical. We've missed this kind of feeling. We haven't had rain here in the Kalahari in a long time, so this is going to be very, very epic if it does come down. What a build up. Beautiful. Roger, where would the animals take cover in the dust storm? We've got very low-lying shrubs. Your tree thorn is one of the examples, and those are some of the bushes these animals would use. Your camel thorns also, which is a very predominant species here of vegetation, they would go under or just next to and block the wind using such vegetation. And that's pretty much all they have to actually use to block the wind and the dust storm. There's also a bit of a rainbow there. I don't know if you can
get to it, just on the horizon, on the mountains there, building a little bit there. You can just see a glimpse of it, almost to the right of the screen now, touching the top of those mountains of the Corona Bags. A lioness, it is amazing. It's such an adrenaline rush for us to actually think that it might rain, and if it does, oh, look at that dust storm. Woo! What an experience. I mean, if it does rain, everything is going to turn lush, everything is going to turn green. It's such an amazing thing to think that the desert or these soils here are so rich in nutrients and just waiting for a little bit of moisture. And as soon as we do get that moisture, this landscape is going to be so dramatic. It's going to change on an instant. Can't wait for that to happen.
Yeah, very, very.
Miss Parker, what does it smell like? I've heard a term called onion, which is a positive and a negative charge of the clouds with the sand, and it actually smells like. Sure, it's difficult to really give you a point of reference as to what it smells like. It smells like when you dig a freshly dug hole, it almost smells like that. Or when you get a plant and you just break the roots, almost that kind of a smell, like a legume. If you take beans, like your legume beans, and you break that, you almost get that fresh smell. It's such a beautiful smell. I don't even know how to put words to describe such a smell. But very, very beautiful. Very earthly kind of a smell.
We are here just waiting to see what will happen next, but our lioness seems like she's not going to leave this place. The young male lion is actually covered in grass because we tried to see what will happen, but Mom kept on growling at him, so he went over to rest for a little bit. You can see Mom cleaning the tiny Bahati. And a little bit of a groom on her back. Time to clean. there's a big breeze coming in, and that's why we can't really see that tiny cub. I want to see if our patients will pay and if our sisters will come here. Or maybe the male lion that actually fathered this lioness. Because if he's around, then there's protection for that tiny cub. And that's the reason why lionesses need the big males or the pride males for protection of their cubs in such a scenario. Unfortunately now, she can't really go out on a hunt because she can't really leave these cubs alone. So I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I'm really hoping for the best later on, maybe tonight, as I take you over to another live location.
Buddy, and just a quick apologies before me calling these rocks sandstone. They are in fact granite, but they do resemble sandstone enormously. But walking down amongst this area here, elephants, if they were walking along here, like if it was sandstone up in Mashatu, they will leave these pathways through. It's very, very easy to wear down sandstone, but very hard, very, very hard. Coarse-grained granite. Now, the whole Lowveld, all the way to the Drakensberg Mountain, which is extremely far. You can't see it now. Sandstone and dolerite all above. Then underneath is granite. So it's all weathered away, and the granite would have come up from the magma in the Earth's crust and never came to the surface. It was always underneath the Earth's surface, and it cooled quite far down. And what happened is the escarpment is weathered away, and the hard rock, being the granite, has stayed behind. We don't find too many of them in this area of the Sabi Sands, but all around the Lowveld there's enormous amounts of these magma plumes that have come up. Think about a bubble in your milkshake of cocoa that you haven't really mixed up properly. It sort of comes to the surface and just stops below the surface. That's exactly what has happened. And let me turn my radio off over there. I do apologize for the game drive shouting in your ear there. Sorry about that. But if we have a look at this rock over here, we're about to see quite clearly how large the crystals are. In this one, there's actually a vein over here. You can see that the coloration of the crystals there is a little bit lighter than over here. So it's dominated by quartz. There's also some feldspar, a little bit of mica in the granite. And mica is often, well, all of your electronics, all electronics around the world are all laden with mica, motherboards, cell phones. There are huge mica mines in these areas around Palabora that actually break down and crush granite so as to get out the small little filaments of mica inside. But you can see there's two types of granite here. There's a line over there, and there's another line over there. And if I put this one on top, you'll see it's completely different altogether. So if you mix up sort of a batch of stuff, cookie dough, and you throw in blueberries or whatever you throw into cookie dough, you mix it up, all sorts of different things, and then you bake it. Not every cookie is the same. So whatever the rock was molten down within a few hundred meters or so of the Earth's surface, but never emerged out. And then it cooled very, very slowly. And that's a very good indication of these massively large crystals. And very, very solid appearance. And if we move over
Right, sorry about that. So we come now, we're going to check, we're busy checking the northern boundary for anything we might actually see around here. buffalo are nowhere around here yesterday, but could be long gone for now. But, you know, we're going to search. Sometimes they attract lions, which if that will be so good to
You are back with us, everybody. Terribly sorry about all of that. But what I was trying to say before you lost us is that the granite itself, eventually, because it's not one solid piece of rock, there are weaker points, harder points, and eventually over time, heat and stress and pressure and sitting out here, this has probably been exposed for a very, very long time, longer than I've been alive. Millions of years this has been sitting on top of the surface here, maybe a little bit shorter, and the heat eventually leads to it cracking, and those pieces that you have on there have exposed and completely cracked off. As you can see here, all of these over here are cracking and breaking. And I couldn't move that. But that will eventually slide off and form a completely different rock, as all these others are doing as well. But what I was saying before with the elephant drinking, if you have a look over here, water accumulates in a depression. One of these pieces is maybe broken off, and you'll get water accumulating, and you'll get bacteria and all sorts of living organisms living on the rock. You can see the black stuff over here. When water's accumulated, it's actually alive with activity. So there's actually chemicals being produced in the water, which then weathers this down even further. So we talk about mechanical weathering, rock breaking on rock, weathering from wind and water, and then there's also chemical, which is from activity of things in the water. Clearly the water here wasn't the element that weathered down the rock, because that needs to be moving. But stuff living inside the water eventually managed to break it down. You actually see all the pock marks over here, and it's obviously been a very long time, and that's what's happened down there, those little puddles, and they are probably something that that elephant has visited before, and they'll be there again and again and again, probably for as long as we live on this earth. We're just still going to have those holes there, and this one's going to take a little bit longer to get a bit deeper, but eventually, over time, some species in the future will come here and have a drink of water, quench their thirst, and have a look over this wonderful terrain, and just take a few moments and breathe it in.
So we came across a pride of lions that is spread out over this beautiful open plain in front of us. And have a look at the sun that's actually setting behind them as well. Such a beautiful view and setting here in front of us. And you can see the youngsters. Looks like some of the cubs of this pride that's in the open there, going towards each other. I think they're becoming a little bit more active as it's cooling down with the wind that's blowing at the moment. But have a look at that one's belly, how low it's hanging. Definitely had something to eat during the middle of the day or so, or maybe early this morning. There's the other siblings down there. I think that individual is walking towards a lioness that's lying further off to the right hand side. Look at the ears going down. Wonder if it might stalk a little bit. Looks quite playful. Yeah, look at that. It's heard something in the long grass there. Oh, there's the female. You can see her there. JP, you're asking how young this pride is. I'm assuming you're asking how young the cubs are. The cubs are about 7 or 8 months old, and you can see there that one is just going and joining one of the mothers. So there's a litter of 3 and a litter of 2. So 2 lionesses. Look at that. Now nice and playful. We came past here earlier and they were all sleeping very, very flat, and now it's cooled down quite a lot with the sun behind the clouds there. I love it when the youngsters go close to their mothers and they curl their tails around like that. See, he's on the move again, that youngster, because there's another lioness that's actually lying off further to the right hand side. So they are spread out all over the place there. He's just settling down. There's another youngster coming to join. All of them coming and interacting with the females. I think it is time for them to get a move on, and I think these youngsters are getting a little bit bored of just lying in this open clearing all the time. I'm sure you can see the grass moving and hear the wind blowing as well. So this wind is cooling down the air very quickly. Look at them playing there and rolling around. So if these youngsters keep on trying to play with this female and see how they're rubbing up against her face, then we might see her get up. There we go. As I said it, and go and maybe go and interact a little bit with the other lioness that's on the other side there. Let's see what happens. So she disappeared just into a little dip there. And there she's just coming out now, and she is going straight towards that other lioness. Oh wow, while she's walking, there's this beautiful, beautiful sunset just above the mountain now. But there's going to be some interaction there between those two lionesses as well. They are in the perfect spot for us to see this beautiful, beautiful sunset. Look at that. With the Lubombo Mountains, and look at the other grey game drive vehicle driving there in the distance on their way to this lion sighting here. What a beautiful, beautiful spot. See, the two lionesses are now just lying right next to each other. But see, these youngsters, I think, are also slowly going to be heading in that direction. Can't seem to see the youngsters for now, but there's the two lionesses right next to each other. See that one was sitting upright, how she's listening with her attention ahead of her. So there's quite a dense area in that direction, and earlier we saw quite a lot of nyalas and warthogs around that area. So I wonder if they're slowly moving in that direction to strategically place themselves so that they are a little bit closer to maybe hunt as it gets cooler and darker. So both of the mothers, even though it's cool, you can see she's got her mouth open and panting a bit. Look at that. Yeah, both of them are sitting up. So have a look at the lioness that's on the left-hand side. You can see just in her posture, her chest, and how big her head is compared to the other lioness. So one older lioness on the left and a young lioness on the right. See how she's looking back. I wonder if the youngsters are on their way towards them. I can just see through my binoculars, the youngsters are, all the cubs are lying together just out of that little dip there. see there's quite a bit of grooming and so happening. And they keep on looking there towards the females. And there we go, on their way to the mothers again. Going to go and irritate them a bit. See if there is a bit of interaction between them. See if the youngsters go and rub up against their mothers' faces or so. And they might want their mums to take them somewhere else, get a move on. There's a watering hole not far from here, so I wonder if they might head in that direction to go have a drink after this hot day that we've had. Youngsters just lying down there. So wind is really picking up. Lying very close to the lionesses, but not quite ready to leave its siblings yet. I'm sure the others will slowly come in that direction. But I think these lionesses, yeah, they keep on looking in that direction. Oh, one just sneezed there. Keep on looking, started cooling down like this. But for now, I think Gerrit and I are gonna sit and enjoy this view that we have from here and keep an eye on these lions and see what they get up to.
Back to our lion, she seems like she's sleeping. It's a little bit cold, chilly. At least the cub is warm enough now. And I'm not sure if she's going to move from this area anytime soon, because that young male is still around. And because it's dark right now, you never know what's going to happen. And that can also make hyenas come and want to approach, because that's a one vulnerable position, one vulnerable area. But by the look of it, she's actually within a very good area. So the reason why she's lying down there, that male lion has to keep his distance, because if he keeps on coming and mom wants to chase him off, that will not be good. But I'm sure and I'm hoping, I'm crossing my fingers for her to be safe for the entire night. What a tough life lions have to go through. Can you imagine sitting there for the entire day? She's not going to drink, she's not eaten, but at least that cub is safe and nursing. So I'm going to leave her here, because it seems like she's not going to move anytime soon. And I wish her a good night, as she keeps on staring and looking around to see if the rest of the pride will come. Or maybe that young lion will come and join her. So I'll just leave her here and carry on. Wish her a very good night. Penelope, yes, if she moves at night, she might pick her up. But we saw her today. She was trying to lift her up, but she seemed like a little bit heavy. But if it's a short distance, then she can be able to do that. But the long distance that she has to carry on from this site to a good suitable den, that can be a little bit of stress. So that's the reason why she has to sit here and guard her cub for whatever time, I don't know. But I hope it's going to be a safe area for her. I can hear lions roaring over in the distance, and that's a contact call. That's why she's staring that direction. Could be that's the rest of the pride. So I might again sit here and wait to see if she's going to respond and if she's going to go to that side as I take you over to another live location.
Hopefully she get any response or rejoin the other pride. So here we come to stop right here with the beautiful impalas. It's not actually a big group, or you call them a rank of impalas. Probably around 12, 13 of them. I saw one male already here, so it looks like he's the one of the for now dominating harem of females this time of year. That comes and go quite a lot. The dominant change, that's the one that we can see right now. See how he's trying to walk around them, making sure that they don't get away from this slightly open here. So come to stop with this impalas, and I'm all hoping for any sound of prejudice that would be making sound around, so we know where they could be. And there was an update about the Bride of Lion, but they're out of reach for us. I think in Manyaleti. And the guys, they could see the vehicles, but they cannot see the animal. So I came to be standing by around here in case they move south. So we on a Galago shortcut road, Beversuk boundary right now. So east inside of a Gari Gate itself. This is where we are. He's busy defecating. So we're just gonna keep an eye on them. And if there's another male coming in here, he's gonna try and fight him off if he doesn't want any male to come and join for right now. But a lot of times, seen a lot of other dominant male, they're well politely enough to allow other undominated male to come to join the party where they join the females, harem, understanding that the season, rotting season, it's done. All the female are carrying right now. But some of the male still won't allow any other male to come and join their females, even though some of the females here, they're all carrying. But mating change every now and then, especially during that rotting season. See a lot of a male challenge each other for a fight. Eventually one lost the fight, and then the new male come in. It's easy to lose the fight because I've been spending a lot of time with a lot of a female here, and you're the only male dealing with them. Eventually, you won't stand a chance to fight, and a new strength male coming in with a lot of power. He's rubbing now with his little preorbital gland, which is on front of his on the horn itself. He can do that. Able to left the scent. For those who don't know that he could be around in the area here. So we're just gonna see if we could get another visual, but it seems to be moving away from us. But I'm still gonna be around here, just hoping for anything that we might see crossing south towards us. So while I'm doing that, I'm gonna be taking you to another safari guide who will be showing you more animal.
We We back with the mother and her carcass. There's a jackal approaching from the background there. Let's just wait out and see if there's any action with this sneaky guy coming from behind. Look at that.
Yeah, station viewing, over.
Just see the jackal at the corner of the screen there, patiently waiting. Moving back around. Oh, got a spook. You can obviously see now the mother, or this female, is now digging right into the intestines there, and moved the carcass a little bit also from where it was earlier. Obviously, because of these jackals and competition, now she has to try and really make sure that nothing comes close. Getting right underneath there. Every now and then she has to look around because she gets really covered in that carcass. So she has to come and look around and see if nothing else is sneaking up on her. The wind is obviously going to carry the scent of this carcass a long way, and already we're starting to see jackals and so coming in, so it's going to be interesting. Sugar bits, what minerals do they get from eating the carcass? Predominantly meat would be a protein, and from the blood you get a lot of iron in the blood, and that's what actually makes these animals thirsty and want to drink after they eat. It's that iron content in the blood that makes them so thirsty. So those would be the minerals that they actually get, the high iodine content in the blood, and the meat itself being protein. Very alert, looking into the distance there. Elsa, how will she hide the carcass at night? Is using shrubs that are around there. She might drag it a little bit further in That's as far as she can do. Unlike your leopard that can actually carry and climb a tree with a carcass, cheetahs are not capable of such. So the best they can do is try get it in a very thick area under a tree or a shrub, and make sure that the vultures, for example, cannot see it from hovering up there, and also for her to be able to continue to actually feed the next day. But I mean, if things that are bigger come, like hyenas and so on, they'll actually chase her off, and wherever she's hidden it, they'll actually take it from her. So it's not much about hiding it as much. And look at that, look at that. Good interactions there. Elizabeth, are there a lot of vultures in Tswalu? No, we do have a colony or two that are resident in the area. They would come and fly out. I mean, vultures do cover a very big area when they do search for food and so on. Soaring around and using the thermals as they search for food. But we do have a colony or two in the reserve. Look at that. Look at the power. The jackal has to be very careful. Cheeky though. Coming and sneaking again in. Slowly sneaking, hoping to get a bit of a scrape somewhere. Maybe a fallen intestine or something like that. No luck, we'll try again from a different angle. Just keep circling about. All right. We'll still stick with this interaction and see how it'll unfold further over to the other beautiful properties in Africa.
Welcome back to Ngala and beyond Ngala, and we have been taken on some other wild goose chase. These lions crossed the riverbed, the Timavati riverbed, which is a great big riverbed, and only in a few places can you in fact cross it. So we had to do a great loop around, try to find them again, and they've probably covered about 800 meters since they crossed the riverbed, making our job pretty difficult, and they've gone straight back down again. There's a large open area behind us where we've just come from, where there were lots of wildebeest and impala and zebra, and they'll be very aware of that. So they may in fact be making their way towards there, not right now, but waiting for the cover of darkness to use to their advantage so that they can hunt. So maybe just getting into the right position for now, conserving a bit of energy, and then this evening, hopefully in the next 15 minutes, they may get up and start moving towards that open area. And if it's dark enough and they've got enough cover, they may in fact be successful on a hunt this evening. It is time for them to be successful. I think they're due a successful hunt after this morning and the past couple of days going hungry. I've seen a few giraffe in that open area in the past couple of days as well, particularly with the two Ross males being with the pride. That extra strength goes a long way to bringing down a giraffe, and that'll feed everyone for at least a couple of days. Jeez, it's amazing. We fought incredibly hard to try and find them. I actually had to get one of the trackers to get down on foot and try and track them when we watched them cross the riverbed. And then you find them lying down like this. You thought they were moving the whole time. It's almost like they've spent the whole day here. There was a hyena that came in and investigated. They'll often come in and investigate on a smell. Once they pick up on the scent of lions or even leopards, they will come in and have a look, because often, if they follow that scent, lions and leopards will bring their attention towards a kill that they might have made. There's the young Birmingham male. It's good to see him back. I actually had a little bit of intel from a reserve that's on our eastern side that he had been spending a bit of time with a pride called the Mbiri pride, which sometimes comes through to Ngala on the eastern side. It'd be very interesting to see if he doesn't maybe join a coalition of males from that side. How's that? I mean, when they're all lying down like that, they absolutely disappear. You could stumble into them very, very easily. So could an impala or a buffalo. Look at that young lioness. She's trying to wake everybody up. Or not. Here comes a Ross male. He's walking in from the left-hand side. Let's see what he does or what his response is. If he shows himself. Here he's just come into picture there. Scent marking, showing his dominance. He'll very likely be doing that to show that young Birmingham male exactly who's boss. Often do it right in front of his face. You see the young Birmingham male's head is up. He would have been very well aware of what was going on there and watching him very closely. Rachel, how many of the lions in this pride are capable of hunting? It depends what you are hunting. I mean, even those small little cubs, if they get the chance and get on top of a bird or something like that, you consider that a hunt, they would be capable. But I would say, in terms of the stalking and the actual hunting, the younger ones that are just over 2 years old, they're still learning. They've got lots to learn, and they actually can often be a hindrance in hunts. They'll blow the cover at the wrong time. That Birmingham young male, he's definitely old enough to be hunting at about 4 years old or just over 4. His sister, who's the mother of those two cubs, is also a very good hunter already. So in terms of numbers, I'd probably say half of them, let's say 10 out of the 18, are very capable hunters. Grooming, very important part of a lion's day. particularly once they wake up. Oh, there's one of the white ones. Looks like the young female coming in. Look at her walking towards her white brother there. Going to show some affection. Little head rub. Wanting some affection, not getting quite what she was hoping for. Let's see who else she picks here. Another one. Head rubbing, grooming. Wonder what got their attention there. Heads are up. So for the next few minutes, I'm going to stick around here, see if they don't get up and move towards that open area where we saw those zebra and wildebeest, which would be a great target for them this evening.
Well, that's the last of a sort of decent-sized herd of buffalo that's just walking past our eco-training camp. This is exactly what the Birmingham Lions would like to probably hunt, one of the straggling buffaloes in a group just like this. As they disappear into the thickets, might make for good opportunities. Of course, we're not anywhere near the Birmingham Pride right now. I don't think Lagatha, that single lioness that likes to hunt around these areas, will be too interested in hunting for massive buffalo like this. But it makes for very interesting encounters for our students when they're trying to go into their tents tonight with the buffaloes nearby. Well, that's about as far as we can go. That's the back of our vehicle. You can see they're moving right across into these thickets and probably going to feed their way up into an open clearing that's sort of in that direction this evening. Maybe once it gets very dark, it is a bit cloudy, those buffaloes will probably like to sit in somewhere a little bit more open where they can at least spot any predators coming close. Remember, we do have a fairly dominant and powerful clan of hyenas, which might take a sick or an injured buffalo. And remember, there was that one young buffalo who had a big damage on his horn. I can't remember we did not see him today, so I don't know if he's still around, but if he is, he'll be the kind of animal that any lions or hyenas will be looking for. He'll be falling behind the group and easily picked off. You can hear some grunting and shoving as the buffaloes move through these thickets. Always a little bit of kerfuffling. El Hombre, they are related because they're both in the bovine family. They're both cow-like animals and similar habits. I mean, they'll eat the same type of food and they're also quite gregarious, I think, both. In terms of taxonomically, I'm not sure exactly how they're related, but one major difference is that the Asian water buffalo do spend a lot of time in water. In fact, I believe that they run to water as a safety mechanism, which is something buffaloes here in Africa, the African buffalo, don't really do. They use their sheer bulk and power to protect themselves and each other, whereas the water buffalo, I think, tend to run into water to protect themselves and live in fairly swampy areas, whereas these buffaloes mostly live in more dry and arid areas. You can see the last of them just moving into thickets there. We're going to have to leave these buffaloes soon because they are moving into a fairly thick environment. But yeah, what an awesome thing to have, like right close to our camp, these kind of big five animals. You know, that lioness is always around, these buffaloes are here, the elephants all the time. It's going to be an interesting night.
Welcome back. I don't know if you can you hear that? This Ross male has almost separated himself. I'm going to move back a little bit. He's separated himself from the rest of the pride that has all got up. And he's following the Birmingham male, and he's growling and he's scent marking. Well, now he's lying down. But he was scent marking and moving through, kind of chasing that Birmingham young male. The Birmingham young male was also showing all kinds of submission, asking him please not to come any closer, that he's actually going to make some space. And he did very quickly. Now he's just laid on. There goes the Birmingham male up ahead of us, right in front of us. walking off into the distance away from everybody else. So I think, yeah, this pride has got up and they're moving now in a northerly direction. They might try and do a little loop around that open area I was telling you about earlier and try and chase a prey species into a group that might be waiting on the other side. The males may hang back, let the females do a lot of the stalking and the hard work, and then they may come in right at the end, use their extra size, extra weight, and extra strength to help bring down a prey species, particularly if it's a very big one. If it's a small one, they may come in anyway and just steal it from everyone. Oh, flat. He's going to wait for some action. He's going to have his ears out, wait for some distress calls, and wait for the females potentially to take something down so that he can have a feed this evening. Just see the flick of a tail every now and then. Okay, everybody, it's been a lovely evening from my side. I'm going to send you over to Tswalu and see how that cheetah is doing.
The jackal still hard at work. Still trying to get a little bit of a piece some way or the other. It's gonna take more than that. Every time getting braver and getting closer. Just getting to where the blood is now. There's something, and off he goes. Got a little piece there. Yep. It paid off. And bits by bits like this, he'll keep going back. And eventually he'll have a full belly by the end of it. The art of scavenging. It's all gone, buddy. You gotta have to try again. That's all. Survival, Bobby. That's all it is. Survival. If you got quick feet and quick mind, you survive out here. That's all it is. It's exactly that. Fast food. That's where the blood is. Where the actual kill and the opening happened. Look at the belly. I mean, it's now gone probably twice the size of when we saw it. This is going to be the game of the whole afternoon. Guys, as our day gets to the end and we're just about to wrap, I'd like to give a very big thank you to all the entities involved. Dave, the camera, the other properties, for making it work out. Thank you very much.
My favorite bird has to be the sociable weaver. The enormous nest that they create, their survival tactics to inhabit these harsh and unforgiving environments, and as well as their complex social arrangements, is truly remarkable. And the interconnectedness with the ecosystem shows us that we are too. Join me on my next adventure with Wild Earth in the African wild on channel 183 DSTV.
Of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.